So after slowly drilling through this and having the patience to just be careful as we drill our little hole in there, again a little bit of our 0.3 mil bit of copper wire. We just want to sort of, you know, test, see if it's going to go in there. We don't have to go that deep. I mean, that is probably like maybe 1.5, maybe 2 mil deep, right? The deeper you go, the more sort of chance you've got of, say, almost sort of coming out, drilling out the side, which is almost there. You can see that little bit of white bit there, almost coming out the sides, right? But you only need just a big enough hole just to slightly put in our copper wire, and then we can glue that into place nicely later, right? Now, I do believe there's about 5 of these we do need to make, but what we can do now is bring our roof part of our cabin in here, right, and we can get one end and thread it through, right, until we get it to the height that we want, preferably having them all about the same height, right? And then once we've got that just the way we want it, we can come in with Tamiya extra thin cement, right, and probably come in from the underside actually, and just glue that into place, right? And then we can leave that to dry just for a little bit to one side, where we then want to come across and get out our copper wire, right, which is what we're going to be using, as we've already stated. But actually, before we do that, what we want to do, we want to get out our 3 mil drill bit again, right, and we need to now make a hole for the copper wire to go in the other end, right? So just here, just focus you in, we want to now drill a hole through here, right, all the way through. Again, remember, this is a 0.3 mil drill bit. You want to be careful, you don't want to be putting too much pressure on. You want to keep it nice and straight, or you're going to bend it, snap it, or break it, which is then going to result in buying another one. Alright, so let's go all the way through with that. So drilled all the way through that. Again, be patient, it is a small drill bit. Turn this over. This has had enough time to dry now, so we can sort of nicely tidy this up by just cutting that off, nice and easy. Right, and then what we want to do is add the next part to this. So just getting out a bit of copper wire, it's easily cut. Right, and what we're going to do is we're going to thread it through one end. Right, maybe it needs drilling the opposite side. Okay, let's just scratch that off with our nail, and let's drill the opposite side just to sort of make this hole a bit more cleaner to take our copper wire. Right, we should be able to thread this through a lot better now. Maybe get some tweezers to help you with this next bit. Thread it through, there we go, that's gone through. Right, and then what we want to do, we want to sort of straighten this out a bit, so I'm just going to pull it like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sort of just now sort of slowly sort of bend this around. Right, being careful. Bend it nicely and carefully until we get it in the hole. Right, and this is all fiddly, but be patient. Maybe a bit more of a bend on the end here, just to get it to go in. Sorry, trying to keep you on camera and fiddle with this. And then there we go, that is in there rather nicely. Now the whole idea is we want to sort of test fit this, so that's in there, so then we can also cut this end, right, just like I've done with this one here. Let's get it on the tweezers. Right, it's already been test fitted and shaped. Right, just like so, and now we're sort of ready to sort of come along and glue these into place. So there's our nice bit of scratch building all done. I've just super glued that into place, hopefully, as you can see, and then a light sanding just at the back there, just to make sure we've got no nasty lumps or bumps. So we want to add a little bit more to this, and there's like a little cord on here, probably for the sort of like internal comms or something like that. So let's come back to our 0.3mm copper wire, and let's just get a little section off of this. So let's just cut, you know, I don't know, a nice little sort of, I don't know, 10 centimeters worth of that. And then what we want to do, we want to make this into a coil. So just at hand, which I did have on hand earlier, was one of these. It's a 1mm drill bit, and what we're going to do is simply going to, you know, leave maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 centimeters this side, holding it with our finger, and then we're just going to start wrapping. Well, let's not get it on the actual the grooved end, right, because it'll just get trapped. And then we're just going to start to wrap this around, and as we do a couple of coils, we sort of want to push this together. Again, keep going around, stop, push it together, maybe get you in a little bit closer, coil this around a few times, stop, push it together, right, and we just keep on going with this until we're happy we've got enough. So that now all coiled round, we want to just nice and easily slide this off, which isn't that hard. So let's just slide that off, and then maybe getting out some tweezers. And what we want to do is just sort of bring this apart a little bit, and this way you got to be a little bit careful, right, because we want to sort of pull this apart, right, so we've got some spaces between the coils. Right, but we want to try and keep them sort of as even as possible, right, as we go along. Evener the better. There we go. So hopefully, as you can see, that's a nice bit of sort of coil going on there. So what we want to do now is we do have what I've already done is just here, as you can see, I've already drilled a nice little 0.3mm hole, which is where this is going to go. So getting out, I've got some super glue, which I'm using Zappa Gap just here. It's a medium CA glue. It is cheaper to sort of buy the Zappa Gap stuff than buying those 99p ones from the shop. And what we're going to do is we're just going to now feed this through our hole. Our 3mm hole, let's get you on camera. Right, feed that through there. Right, so we've got maybe a little bit sort of coming out, because if you look at the reference photo, if you look at this reference photo here, you know, this is what we're aiming for. And then what we can do is on the underside just dab on a little blob of super glue. And let's pull this out before it dries. Although I think it has almost already dried. Right, there we go. Maybe another little blob of super glue on the underside, just to make sure that's going to stay. And then before we sort of mess around with this anymore, we want to sort of let that do some drying. So I'm just going to prop that up. Right, and then what we want to do now is, just like we did before, is getting out that same bit of plastic that we used, put a 0.3mm hole in there, just exactly like what we did on there and I showed you earlier, right? However, this time we're going to put this somewhere a little bit different, and this is just basically to give a little bit more life to our little bit of a coil here, to sort of represent some sort of connector on the end of it, which we'll glue on later. I could probably just cut a little bit off. There's no harm in sort of with scratch building sort of cutting off more than you need, because we can always trim it down later, but I want to let that dry first. Alright, so then that's had a bit of time to dry. We want to now sort of shape this, and the kind of shape we've got is it's sort of dangling from the ceiling, so we want to sort of get gravity, well, getting this to look as though, you know, gravity is pulling it down. And what they've done is the crew have potentially come along and then wrapped it around one of these bit of scratch building we've done just here, right? So I'm probably going to have to cut this so I can actually thread it through, but not too much, right? And then we want to get this now and try and, without breaking or deforming this, feed this underneath there, like so. Right, there we go. Again, trying to get it to look as though it's, you know, gravity really is sort of working on this and it's looking nice and natural. Right, and then it's supposed to sort of dangle back down. So after fiddling around with that a bit, I think I've got it to my liking now. Now what we want to do is we want to sort of cut this to the length that we desire it. So I'm just going to give it a little snip of there. We may as well cut underneath as well, just to tidy up all our bases there. Right, and then what we want to do now is come back with our little piece here, which we've done our little, where's that gone? Oh no, here it is. Got a little piece here which we drilled that little hole into. So what we want to do now is just sort of dip this into our bit of super glue. Right, it's a nice little dip. Right, and just on the end here, right, we can just pop that in there and then sort of let this dry. So with that now dry, it does look a bit weird being so big, but this is where we simply, you know, as I say, always cut it, you know, a little bit longer than you want, because we can always come in now and just give that a nice little trim, and we've got ourselves a nice sort of little end bit on there, which is going to plug into probably some sort of headset for some sort of internal communication of some sorts. We could maybe sort of make this look a bit more sort of pointing more downwards to, you know, make sure it's looking like it's going towards gravity, so it's going to sort of look like that inside our cabin area, hopefully, as you can see there. So we've got a nice bit of scratch building going on there, so let's move along and do a little bit more. So the next bit of scratch building we're going to do on this is to sort of make this look a bit more sort of realistic, because what we have here is all these little diamonds is supposed to be a soundproofing material. As you can see on this picture here, it is supposed to be fabric. It's not so as sharp as this piece is, and we've also got all these sort of bits of velcro everywhere, where, because I mean it's not just one piece, it's lots of pieces and they're velcro together, and you've got these sort of join lines and all this kind of stuff. So let's make this look a bit more better. So I'm just going to get out some jammy dog tape, and this is the 1mm stuff, and what we're going to do, let's just get this off first. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually apply this, so I can actually get it off the tape. So actually getting a nice little piece here, what we're going to do is we're going to actually apply this to here. So what we're going to do is just lay this down, right, and we're going to have this sort of representing all those sort of velcro joins and all that kind of stuff. You want to be careful sort of laying it down, and the one thing you also sort of want to bear in mind is actually what pieces are going to attach to this, and can you actually put some of this jammy dog tape down. For instance, there's pieces like this which are going to go attach to just on, or is it to the other side? We'll just double check. Yes, it's this side. For instance, we've got this little piece here, you know, this will attach onto here, so we can't actually put a piece going along here. We've got to sort of bring it a little bit forward because we don't want this jammy dog tape sort of making gaps, right? So, you know, do test fit, see where everything's going, and once you're happy with it, right, we can just make a nice cut to make sure it's just nice and, you know, it's really sort of right up to the edge, right? Because again, we don't want to have any gaps, right? And then it's simply, you know, doing that sort of all the way around, sort of looking at these reference photos that we've got and actually putting them down. Now, some of them have got like doubles on them, so to speak, so you know, you may want to sort of double it up, which I'll show you in a sec. So that's what I meant about just doubling up there, just putting 2 lots of tape either side. So again, if you look at the reference photos, you kind of do sort of see almost like 2 lots of maybe Velcro in those pictures. But what we also see is, if you look at all these diamonds and everything, they are pretty sharp, pretty in your face, and I think that could do with being dulled down, as well as I'd like to blend the tape in as well, just to sort of make it look like it's not so sharp and in your face as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out some Vallejo plastic putty, and I'm just going to show you what we're going to do here. We're basically going to just literally sort of almost just pour this all on, right? We're sort of aiming for our bits of jammy dog tape, right, and pretty much all this diamond area as well. Then get out a couple of cotton wool buds. Don't let this dry, so it might be a good idea to do sort of like a section at a time. Make sure your cotton wool bud is nice and moist, and we're just going to just start wiping this all up and sort of working it into all these nooks and crannies, right, and just start to tidy it up. Because what this is going to do, I mean, it may look a bit of a mess right now, but when we actually come along and whack some paint down, we're going to sort of still see all these diamonds, right, but they're not going to be so sharp because we're sort of cleaning this up afterwards. We're sort of cleaning up what's on the surface, but what we're sort of leaving behind is some of that filler is going into all those diamonds, it's going into the edges of the jammy dog tape, and it's sort of making everything less sort of sharp. You know, all the diamonds here, you know, they are, you know, all these recesses are all quite deep and everything, but because we've had this bit of filler here, we have lightly filled in those recessed panel lines basically, and by wiping it up afterwards while it's still wet, we're not completely filling those recessed panel lines, we're just leaving behind just enough to sort of not make them so deep, but they've come you know, more sort of blended in, and hopefully it's going to look a little bit more like the photos than like this. And it also blends in, as I say, the jammy dog tape. So you want to do that all the way around. The only thing is, you know, just remember, you know, when you put down this jammy dog tape, just make sure you're not going to be sort of, you know, creating gaps. Hopefully, as you can see there, I've just sort of like cut a little bit off the end so that when we place this on, although that's not what side it goes, when we do place this on, you know, it's not gonna, jammy dog tape's not gonna create a gap, which is basically what you want to do there.